Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Infinite Shadow Split. Chapter 16. The morning sun streams in through classroom windows and falls on dozing students. Tang Gao rested on his desk, feeling that the sun was just right, and his body was warm, and sleeping would be particularly beautiful. Despite the automatic hang-up, Tang Gao has improved his physical fitness and perseverance, and last night he simply let his body sleep, and his consciousness entered the violent justice messenger fighting, completing tasks, cultivating, etc. It turns out that people sleep not only to rest the body, but also to rest the consciousness. Early this morning, Tang Gao felt tired of consciousness, so he had to give himself a holiday and rest, and let the violent justice messenger hang up on his own. Fortunately, the results of a hard night were very remarkable, and Tang Gao had 3 years and 2 months of cultivation and successfully entered the realm of a first-order cultivator. He is also a first-order cultivator of the righteous qi attribute of the battle qi system. In the college entrance examination, it is only the initial cultivation of the first order, and it is already a very good result. Not to mention this achievement of Tang Gao. Lu Ren whispered while copying his homework, "Brother Tang, do you know that incident last night? What happened in the high street?" Tang Gao's eyelids did not lift, lying on the table and answering in a low voice, "Well, I know." Quote. "And it's very clear about the whole process." Lu Ren rushed to the skies and smacked his tongue. "Oh my god, that national character face cultivator is so strong, he killed 8 people and a monster in 3 seconds, what a cultivation." Tang Gao found a comfortable position. "I don't know." Quote. "Cultivation that does not enter the stream." Lu Ren turned a page and continued to copy the homework, sighing, "My father came back late at night yesterday, and General Lu said that he would be responsible for investigating the violent justice messenger." Tang Gao's eyelids jumped, and he couldn't help but look at him. "No, why don't you tell all the secrets?" Quote. "Sooner or later, your dad will be killed by you." Lu Ren pouted. The homework was copied cheerfully, and the old saying used to say, "You enter your ID card on the official website, you can find the draft, this is already semi-public information, the draft is still entered for my father last night. Besides, how could this kind of information get to my dad? Brother Tang, you won't sell my dad." Tang Gao closed his eyes and lay on the table, not bothering to pay attention to this big filial piety who turned his own father over. "Well, you and I are in the same boat." Quote. "But this message of yours let me know that I should guard against your father." The group leader came over with a black face, rolled up his sleeves and glared at Lu Ren. In the group, Lu Ren handed in his homework the latest every day. Even if it was handed in at the latest, even the homework of Tang Gao, who had the best score in the literary test, was also dragged to the end. Lu Ren smiled playfully, took out a pack of snacks from his pocket and stuffed it to the group leader. It's fast, just wait." The group leader took the snack and his face slowed slightly. "Hurry up, 5 minutes is ready, prepare a small martial test after today's first-class teacher's class." Lu Ren sped up his speed to copy the homework, while being surprised. "Here again. Isn't once a week enough? Write yours quickly, as far as you procrastinate. This is almost the college entrance examination, you can get a snack or not." Lu Ren didn't have time to continue nagging, concentrated on copying, and then carefully checked, found that the name was Tang Gao, hurriedly picked up the tape and glued it, changed it to his own name, and wrote Lu Ren's 2 big characters very seriously. Lu Ren then handed it over to the group leader. The group leader stacked it directly and carried the homework to the office. Lu Ren breathed a sigh of relief. His interest came, and he pulled Tang Gao to nag. "Brother Tang, what do you think of Xiao Wujiao?" Quote. "Sit and watch." Lu Ren looked at him speechlessly, looked around, leaned over, and lowered his voice. "Brother Tang, I only learned last night that you hid so deeply, are you planning to make a splash?" Tang Gao's eyelids did not lift, lazily lying on his stomach. "Well, there is this plan, don't make noise with me, I want to sleep." Quote. "Ooh, well, you sleep. Lu Ren obediently moved back and began to play with the gel pen to kill time. After a while, the head teacher walked in with a black face holding the homework, holding a teaching whip in his hand, and exuding a murderous aura. The noise in the class instantly dissipated, and everyone hurriedly pretended to study seriously. The class teacher stood on the podium, with a black face, did not speak, and waited for the class bell to ring. Lu Ren hurriedly sat up straight, his hands on the table, Cold sweat slightly broke out on his forehead, and he always felt that the head teacher's killing intent was aimed at himself. Strange, why is she so fierce? I didn't make any mistakes. The class bell rang, the class leader shouted to stand, and everyone stood up. Tang Gao slept soundly and did not stand up. This is his prerogative. As the best student in the class teacher let him sleep and rest, as long as he can ensure that the grades do not fall. Everyone sat down. The head teacher looked at Lu Ren with murderous eyes, and the lion roared, "Lu Ren, stand up for me." Quote. Snap. The whip smashed on the podium, waking Tang Gao. Lu Ren stood up with a stirring spirit, put his hands on the seam of his trousers, and stood straight. The head teacher's face was furious. "Today you give me a standing class, don't sit down." Lu Ren felt inexplicable, didn't know why, and hurriedly asked, "Why, teacher, I didn't make a mistake, I was scolded by my father yesterday." "Look at the homework you wrote. Come and see for yourself." Lu Ren looked confused. "No, I copied my homework today more seriously than yesterday, there can be no mistake." Lu Ren walked to the side of the podium without believing in evil, stretched his head, looked at his eyes, and cold sweat instantly flowed down. There were 2 assignments on the podium, one with Lu Ren in the name box and the other with Lu Ren in the name box. Well, after sticking off, the handwriting is brightly colored handwriting, 2 large characters written very seriously, Lu Ren. "It's over, take it too seriously, and change Brother Tang's name as well. Get out of here and stand and listen." As soon as Lu Ren took 2 steps, the murderous eyes of the head teacher glared again. "What to go, send the homework down." Lu Ren withstood the murderous look, picked up the homework and began to distribute it, sent it to Tang Jie, and glanced at the name box more before sending his homework correctly. Tang Gao didn't know why Lu Ren was scolded, took the homework and looked at it, didn't hold back, and laughed out of the pig bark. The students at the front and back tables had long been very curious, came up to take a look, laughed out loud, and sat back satisfied. Soon, the story of Lu Ren was spread throughout the class, and laughter rang out one after another. I have to say that Lu Ren is really a talent who copies homework. Tang Gao flipped through the head teacher's approval, found that there was no problem, put it down with satisfaction, and continued to sleep on his stomach. The class teacher saw that the homework was finished, walked down and picked up Tang Gao's homework book, and began to talk about the knowledge points. First-order cultivators are the simplest and most important watershed in the cultivation system. As long as they become first-order cultivators, they are eligible to be admitted to the best cultivator academy in Shenzhou. Tang Gao fell asleep, feeling that he hadn't slept like this for a long time, and slept carefreely. It was like standing for half a life and learning to sleep in bed for the first time. All the stress was released. Quote. Brother Tang, it's time for Xiaowu to test. Quote. Chapter 17. Tang Gao opened his eyes and felt that most of his energy had recovered, and he had to say that his recovery speed had greatly increased after becoming a cultivator. Okay, I'll go downstairs. Most of the students in the classroom had already left, and Lu Ren saw that everyone was almost walking before he began to call Tang Gao to let Tang Gao rest more. Lu Ren knew best how diligent Brother Tang was, so he willingly called Brother Tang. Tang Gao got up and moved, followed Lu Ren downstairs, and went to the huge martial arts training ground. The small martial arts test is held in the martial arts training ground, under the personal supervision of the class teacher, plus the supervision of several teachers in charge of the martial arts training ground, so as to avoid problems. Xiaowu test is not included in the archive's exercise results, which is used to test everyone's daily exercise results. Because it is close to the college entrance examination, the small martial arts test once a week has also been changed to twice a week by the class teacher. If it weren't for everyone's lack of energy, the head teacher would be eager to test everyone every day and test the actual results. The class is generally divided into small groups, and in each group, there are one-on-one partners. Tang Gao's partner is Lu Ren, who has been him for the past 3 years. Tang Gao put on his armor, stood in front of Lu Ren, prepared for sparring, looked at Lu Ren, who was also wearing armor on the opposite side, and suddenly thought of something. In the past 3 years, have I dragged you down? Quote. Other people's partners are all people with cultivator talent, but they don't have cultivator talent, and in the sparring practice, Lu Ren has never used battle chi, just used tricks, afraid that he would hurt himself after using battle chi. In doing so, the training effect is limited. Lu Ren was surprised for a while. It's a little, after all, Brother Tang, you don't have the battle chi, and you can't completely train against me. But that's not a problem, you know, I have a younger brother, I'll go home and practice with my brother. Besides, Brother Tang, you have a very strong understanding of tricks, and in 3 years, I have never won you in tricks. Quote. Lu Ren only has the advantage in cultivation, but has never won Tang Gao in tricks. In the past, Lu Ren also lost, but most of them lost in the lack of deep understanding, and the two sides often took a long time to distinguish the winner and loser, which belonged to the same level. Recently, I don't know how, Brother Tang's understanding of tricks has changed a lot every day. Tang Gao nodded and said lightly, starting today, you use battle chi. Lu Ren hesitated for a while, and did not rush to move. Brother Tang, you have just mastered the battle chi, I use less. Quote. Dad said that Tang Gao has the battle chi to awaken the superior attribute, but in terms of quantity, he is definitely not as much as himself. I'm a 9-dan battle chi, quack. Tang Gao's eyes were calm, and his tone was determined, use all of you. Lu Ren scratched his head, intending to do so, but still waved at the head teacher before fighting. Teacher. Teacher. The head teacher came over and saw that it was Lu Ren, a problem student, and his brain subconsciously began to hurt, and his tone was helpless. What's wrong? Lu Ren looked innocent. Brother Tang plans to let me practice with all my strength, and I want to ask you to be a caregiver. The head teacher was a little surprised, and looked at Tang Gao. How can you let him take all his strength? Are you worried about affecting his martial arts scores? The college entrance examination focuses on the assessment of tricks, and the proportion of cultivation is not much. It's really not okay, I'll feed him. Quote. Lu Ren looks particularly sour. What kind of thing? Seeing me as a cold sentence. What's wrong, seeing that it is related to Brother Tang so concerned? Abominable double standard dog class teacher. Tang Gao shook his head. No, it's just that I seem to have awakened my talent recently, and I want to try the effect. The head teacher opened his mouth. What? Have you awakened your talent? Quote. Everyone has a different time to awaken their talent, and it is not unusual to awaken a talent in the 3rd year of high school, but it does make people feel very surprised and surprised. The loss of voice of the head teacher attracted the attention of the vast majority of people in the martial arts training field. Ha, who awakened talent? Groove. It can't be Brother Tang. He's a high-quality student in literary testing. Isn't this wave a big takeoff? It's definitely Brother Tang. It can't be the second development of Willow Talk, right? The head teacher knew that he was out of shape, but he couldn't care about this at the moment, and hurriedly pacified. Even if you awaken your talent, you don't have to rush for a while. Lu Ren is a 9-dan battle chi, and ordinary martial artists will be seriously injured and dying if they are slapped by him. Quote. This is a point of convergence. If ordinary martial artists eat Lu Ren's move, they can basically go to see the grandmother on the other side of the Forget River. Tang Gao's eyes were calm. Use all your strength, there is armor, there is no big accident. Lu Ren smiled. That's why I came to trouble you, teacher. With you, I can also make a move with peace of mind. The head teacher glared angrily. You kid really doesn't do things lightly. Quote. He doesn't know the power of the 9 stages of battle chi, don't you know either? The rest of the class heard the conversation, guessed the general process, and gathered around curiously, talking about it. Isn't it? Let Lu Ren go all out. Lu Ren's performance in the martial arts test has always been excellent. Quote. Brother Tang's wave is too careless. Lu Ren's cultivation techniques are all Xuanjian top grade. The attribute is still wind sword battle chi. The lethality is amazing. This all-out shot can easily penetrate even stones. Unless Brother Tang can dodge all of Lu Ren's offensive moves, he can't win. Brother Tang, don't be impulsive, step by step. Everyone kindly persuaded Tang Gao, don't be too impulsive, awaken the talent of cultivation, and when the time comes, the martial test can also get the bonus points of the big head, and the rest of the points can only be obtained by hard training, so there is no need to rush for a while. Tang Gao shook his head and insisted on his opinion. Lu Ren smiled, saying that he would obey and trust Tang Gao completely. The head teacher hit Lu Ren's brain with 2 hammers. Start with 3 points of battle chi, don't exceed 3 points, otherwise I will punish you for running 20 laps. Lu Ren covered his head, so painful that tears came out. Brother Tang, 3 points or full strength. Tang Gao looked at the head teacher's majestic eyes speechlessly, and touched his nose. Let's score 3 points first. Lu Ren was ready, squeezed his fists excitedly, did not take a weapon, and shouted, Brother Tang, eat my move Lucian Ascending Dragon Overlord. Quote. The battle chi covers his fist, and the name is shouted indiscriminately, so it is more imposing. The tricks are simple straight punches, without any bells and whistles of deception and false tricks. Tang Gao frowned slightly and looked at Lu Ren, feeling that his whole body was full of flaws, even the pace of the sprint was not steady enough, this move was very exaggerated and he did not fully use the battle chi. Tang Gao looked at the fist close to him, his expression was indifferent, and there was no dodge. The head teacher on the side had a nervous look in his eyes, full of battle chi, ready to kick Lu Renfei and interrupt the attack at any time, for fear of hurting Tang Gaobao, a high-quality student of the literary survey. But not everyone can continue to be a high-achieving student in the elite class. Everyone was also curious to watch. Tang Gao's understanding of tricks has always been very strong, but unfortunately there is no talent, so the overall score is in the middle of the pack. Lu Ren, who has a 3-point battle chi, this strength is already equivalent to the mid-level level of the martial arts test in the class. Many people may not be able to fight Lu Ren, and his martial arts test results have always been very good. Tang Gao took a step to the left, indifferently dodged a straight fist, and stretched out his right foot with a gentle kick, disrupting Lu Ren's sprint pace. At the same time, he stretched out his hands and caught Lu Ren, who was about to fall on a big horse. All this was done in less than a second. In the eyes of the outside world, Tang Gao was ready to pick up people with both hands early, and Lu Ren deliberately fell into his arms. Lu Ren was caught by Tang Gao with a confused look, and the whole person almost knelt on the ground, and the battle chi around his body was interrupted, and he was jerky for several seconds. This feeling is very strange and terrible, and it feels like the breath that has been violently kicked off, and I almost didn't pick up a breath. Lu Ren's face was bitter, feeling bitter and unspeakable, and he didn't know how he lost. Tang Gao helped Lu Ren up, looked at the head teacher who was shocked and lost his mind, and said calmly, I won. The head teacher was dumbfounded. He only paid attention to the importance of Lu Ren's move, and did not pay attention to how Tang Gao dodged the move, only saw Tang Gao move his position, and Lu Ren lost a mess. The students around were also dumbfounded, and the teachers in charge of the martial arts training ground were also dumbfounded. Did anyone see clearly how Brother Tang made a move just now? Quote. In the past, I only felt that Brother Tang's understanding of tricks was very essence, but how did it become so mysterious today? Lu Ren, are you playing a fake match? Don't make trouble. Lu Ren must have lost, but I didn't understand how he lost. Just now Brother Tang shot too fast, I didn't see it clearly. This classmate's shot has something. There is no waste, not even using battle chi, just using the ultimate skill to achieve the effect of breaking the move. Chapter 18. Lu Ren stood up straight and looked aggrieved. What kind of trick is this? Tang Gao was stunned, and he didn't know what kind of trick it was, but he only knew that after many times of training between life and death, he didn't seem to use any tricks again. How to use killing, what tricks to use, what name does it need? Tang Gao thought for a while and said, if there is no name, just practice and practice. When Lu Ren heard these words, the expression of grievance on his face became even stronger. You are useless even with battle chi. He had been staring at Tang Gao closely, knowing very well that Tang Gao was not even using battle chi just now. But if Tang Gao used a little battle chi, Lu Ren would not feel particularly humiliated. When the head teacher heard this, he was shocked. You didn't use battle chi just now. You just ran out of battle chi. The students around were shocked. Groove. Did Brother Tang use battle chi when he just broke the move? No, to be honest, I didn't see clearly how Brother Tang made a move. Quote. Let's just say, when did Tang Gao become so perverted? The nursing teachers looked at each other and saw the same astonishment in each other's eyes. Strange, even they didn't notice in time whether they were using battle chi or not. Is this little guy not using battle chi at all, or is the speed of running battle chi too fast? It doesn't seem to be honest, I didn't see clearly, this student's move speed is very fast. I didn't see the shot clearly, and the battle chi was even more unclear. My perception is relatively sharp, and I don't perceive the use of battle qi. Everyone looked at Tang Gao with inquiring eyes, hoping to know the truth of the matter from the right lord. Tang Gao thought about it carefully and shook his head. It's useless, just mastered the battle qi. Forgot to use. Quote. The actual situation is that Lu Ren's offensive is too dish. Tang Gao's subconscious judgment, he feels that he doesn't even need to use battle qi, and he can break Lu Ren's move with a wave of his hand, so why waste battle qi? This is the instinct of the perfect speedrunner, there is no need to waste a single ounce of battle qi. Everyone couldn't help but gasp for cold skin. Forgot to use. What a sincere and simple answer. It's heart-wrenching. The look of grievance on Lu Ren's face was even stronger, but he also raised admiration for Brother Tang, and the two emotions were mixed together, and the mood was particularly complicated. For a long time, he slowly spoke, Brother Tang, congratulations. Quote. I am happy for the rise of Brother Tang, and at the same time I have been hit hard. Lost, normal, losing so quickly, so unclear, is really the first time in my life. When the head teacher saw that he was in the heart, he didn't care to comfort Lu Ren, and waved his hand to let him go. Come on, Xiao Gao, I've had a trick with you. Lu Ren was obviously not enough to see, even if he fought with all his strength, it was just to set off Tang Gao's strength to the fullest. After being a teacher for so many years, Tian Chang has rich experience, and even personally taught students who have become talented, knowing that Tang Gao's excellence has exceeded the scope of students. As far as Tang Gao's harmless appearance of humans and animals, coupled with the terrifying shot speed just now, if he is not attentive to this old fritters, he will have a risk. Needless to say, these cabbages have not yet set foot in society. Lu Ren was slightly relieved to see the head teacher come to take over the scene, feeling that it was not an unacceptable thing to be crushed. Brother Tang is so strong that he let the head teacher Tian make a move, wouldn't it be normal to plant it himself? Tang Gao was speechless for a while. Teacher Tian, my little martial arts test has obtained a full score, I don't need to fight with you. Quote. No matter how Teacher Tian said, he is also a third-order cultivator, who has been teaching for many years, and his foundation has long been extremely solid, and he even has one or two unique skills. Teacher Tian rolled up his sleeves, his figure was slightly fat, and an old urchin-like smile appeared on his face. Play around, if you win, I will add 10 points to your grades. Tang Gao stood straight, ready, and his eyes became serious. Okay, let's fight. Lu Ren hurriedly retreated to the crowd of onlookers, holding his breath and watching Tang Ji's performance with wide eyes. The students in the same class also held their breath and stared at Tang Gao carefully, for fear of missing some detail. The abnormality here also attracted the attention of the students and teachers of other classes, and when they heard that there were actually people here who did not use their battle qi, they broke the offensive of an elite class martial arts test outstanding students, and they all surrounded them. Weird, did we have another freak in the 8th middle school this year? Ha ha ha, I rely on. Teacher Tian actually went up in person. There is a good show to watch, don't fight, come and watch the play. Shogwo people have a lively nature in their bones. In order to see the lively eating melons, the small martial arts tests of other classes have been suspended, and they have watched the play on several floors, and some even found a stool to stand up and watch. I want to know how fierce this genius who doesn't need to break the battle qi is. Tang Gao stood up, ready, and waited strictly, his eyes serious, his hands clenched into fists at will, swinging one after the other. When the head teacher Tian saw it at first, he couldn't help but laugh. After all, he was still a young man, and the spring breeze was proud of the horseshoe disease, and he was bigger. The head teacher Tian just wanted to get close to give the young man a few tricks, let him know the weight of the martial test, can't support it, just about to raise his hand, his face changed slightly, and he faintly felt that something was wrong. The boy on the opposite side seems casual, but in fact, it is a natural comfort after thousands of temperings, putting himself in a posture that can advance and retreat. If he really fights like this, I am afraid that he will lose a wave. The layman looks lively, the insider watches the doorway. In terms of starting style, Tang Gao is not simple. Class teacher Tian frowned, put up a martial fighting posture, his eyes became serious, and his mind began to rehearse Tang Gao's counterattack methods, assuming that he was Tang Gao, what advantages and disadvantages would be in doing so. Brother Tang's counterattack phantoms appeared in front of the eyes of the head teacher Tian, and he deduced all the paths he could predict. Didn't win. Class teacher Tian's face was slightly stunned, and he found that he could not win within 3 moves, and Tang Gao's standing posture was indeed the best balanced posture most suitable for power and defense. A layer of fine beads of sweat appeared on the forehead of the head teacher Tian. He was a third-order cultivator who couldn't beat a stream, and he couldn't win in the understanding of tricks. How could this be? Quote. Why didn't teacher Tian do it? Some students whispered to the teacher in the crowd. The teacher waved his hand to signal him to be quiet. His eyes stared at Tang Gao. His face appeared solemn, and he couldn't help but run in his body, keeping his state at its best, for fear of missing this wonderful martial battle. Before hearing this hustle and bustle, I felt that how to break an excellent student's trick without fighting Qi was somewhat nonsense and outrageous. After seeing with his own eyes Tang Gao's relaxed and natural standing posture, like steel, and his martial arts experience and momentum that was tempered like steel, he felt that the sentence just now was light. This kind of person, dealing with a group of young students, using battle Qi is an insult. An insult to his experience in martial arts. The solemnity and extreme concentration of the teachers made the students dare not breathe, although they did not know what happened exactly, but it would be very exciting to see the teachers so focused and know what was going to happen next. Whether this student wins or loses, it will be very exciting. Chapter 19. Feeling the pressure of the move, the head teacher Tian gritted his teeth slightly, putting aside the distractions in his heart, wondering how he could be stressed. Gentlemen, see death without fear. Cultivators, even if they know that there is great terror ahead, they should move forward bravely. Class teacher Tian concentrated his energy. His eyes were sharp. He drank loudly, hit him closely, and hit Tang Gao's heart with a straight fist. No matter how good this kid stands, actual combat is the last word. The hand unconsciously controlled the strength, and when the time came, so as not to hurt Tang Gao's state and heart. Tang Gao's eyes lit up, and the other party hesitated. Rip. Boom. The dust on the ground flew up, and a figure rushed out like a sharp arrow, and an afterimage pierced the face of the head teacher Tian with a gust of wind. The head teacher Tian's pupils shrank sharply, his eyebrows stinged, the wind rushed to his face, his eyes blinked unconsciously for a moment, and he shouted in his heart that it was not good. The experience and consciousness of the young wartime were awakened, knowing that the other party's killing move was closely followed. If he could not block the first move, he would definitely die next. Ha! Class teacher Tian shouted, activated all the battle Qi, and slammed Tang Gao's chest, wanting to force the other party back with a killing move, and suddenly woke up halfway through the move, remembering that the other party was his own student. Covered in cold sweat, the head teacher Tian hurriedly stopped his hand, for fear of hurting the students. Tang Gao's pupils shrank sharply, feeling a strong sense of life oppression, the difference in the life level between first-order cultivators and third-order cultivators, and the head teacher Tian in front of him pounced on him like a downhill tiger that suddenly woke up. The other party is going to kill me. The sharp Qi that fought thousands of times broke out in an instant, and the will to resist from the life instinct roared, and the breaking move in his hand turned into a killing move in an instant, piercing the throat of the opponent. The killing move pierced an inch, and Tang Gao felt that the killing intent in front of him disappeared. A layer of cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and he hurriedly stopped his hand. Quote. Call. Quote. The palm wind swept across the martial arts training ground, blowing up the dust on the ground. The two people in the martial arts center both looked at each other with cold sweat on their foreheads. Class teacher Tian's hand stopped at Tang Gao's heart, covered in cold sweat, and looked at the student in front of him with complicated eyes. Tang Gao's palm stopped in front of teacher Tian's throat, cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and he was afraid that he had almost killed the master just now. Tang Gao took the lead in recruitment, hurriedly hugged his fists, and looked apologetic. It's the teacher who won, it's me who is too proud. Class teacher Tian did not answer, but looked at Tang Gaogong's position, and a slightly shallow footprint small pit remained on the ground. The front end of the footprint was stepped on very heavily, and it could be seen that the owner of the footprint stopped the killing move with extraordinary control at the last moment. The teachers present were not fools. Seeing the footprints on the ground, cold sweat broke out on their foreheads and realized that things were not simple. This is not the awakening of a genius. This is the awakening of a killing god. Class teacher Tian accepted the recruitment. His face was complicated, and he said slowly, "It's me who lost. I don't have to take care of my face so much. My face is not supported by the student's fraud." Tang Gao hurriedly smiled and played round. How can it be that the teacher lost? It was me who played tricks. The head teacher Tian had a heavy face. It's me who loses, I'll give you 10 points. The others continue to martial arts. Xiao Gao, you come with me. Tang Gao sighed slightly, knowing that he still missed a flaw, so he had to follow the rest area of the martial arts training ground in front of the head teacher Tian. With a calm face and a majestic body, head teacher Tian took Tang Gao to the rest area, leaving behind a confused student. Soon, in an instant, the martial arts fight was over. Quote. I didn't even see clearly, one move to decide the winner. I didn't even understand, how did this win and lose? Shouldn't this be a tie? Teacher Tian is very strong, but he has been a gold medal teacher for several consecutive terms. Obedient, Brother Tang has a tie with the head teacher of the elite class. You call this a win? Don't worry about winning or losing, I want to know how you win, how you lose. Gone. Didn't the two draw just now? Class. Teacher Liu of the second elite class looked at the footprints on the ground with a complicated look in his eyes. Teacher Tian won Tang Gao's first false move, so he lost. Teacher Tian blinked and lost here. He underestimated Tang Gao, was careless, and missed the opportunity. It seems that the two are tied, but in fact, if they continue to fight, it will be Teacher Tian who will die. This heavy front-end footprint proved that Teacher Tian was actually an inch slower than Tang Gao. If it weren't for Tang Gao's hand, Teacher Tian's throat would have been shattered at this moment. If this is a life and death match, Teacher Tian can now contact the crematorium. Where this is a student, it is clearly killing God. A rest area in the martial arts training ground. Sitting on the chair, class teacher Tian couldn't help but be a little afraid, raised his head and looked at Tang Gao angrily. Where did you learn these crooked ways? If I hadn't had good control, I'm afraid you would have died in my hands. Quote. If you are not alert, if your palm is not well collected, if you are a little late, I will kill a good seedling by mistake today. Tang Gao scratched his head. Teacher, look, in fact, you almost died in my hands. Quote. Quote. Class teacher Tian said angrily. Don't make a mistake, the school taught you martial arts, but it didn't teach you to kill. Now that I think about it, just now Tang Gao defeated Lu Ren. Where did he rely on tricks? It was clearly a half-move killing technique. If you use a complete move, Lu Ren opened the empty door at that time, moved upward, the strength was greater, the dantian was shattered, and all the internal organs were shattered. I also found the reason why I felt pressure when I was in the move. This kid is using a murderous posture to confront himself. Just Nima is outrageous. The head teacher Tian carefully perceived it again, and found that Tang Gao's aura was pure, and there was no obvious change, and his attitude eased a lot, and he couldn't help but ask, what's wrong? Did something happen at home? How can you kill? Tang Gao couldn't help but pinch his teeth. How could everyone see that I had killed someone? I didn't. Quote. Uncle Liu can see it, how can even you see it? Class teacher Tian scolded angrily. If you don't kill a few people, can you learn this trick? How? Are you Cao, killing people in good dreams and learning murderous techniques? Honestly, what's going on? Tang Gao was helpless, so he had to start lying. Well, I killed a felon, some time ago, and I learned this from him. Class teacher Tian looked at him suspiciously, and took out his mobile phone from his pocket. Has anyone given you a testimony? If not, I will call the police. Tang Gao. Lu Ren's father was a high-ranking martial arts official in the Liangcheng system, and he was able to testify to me, and I was still holding my hand on the heartstone to answer the questions. Quote. You are really a good citizen of Liangcheng. Kudos to you. Tonight, let the violent messenger of justice pump a leather band and hit your glass with a slingshot. Class teacher Tian frowned and dialed Lu Shoshan's phone. Soon, the call was connected. Hey, Shuyama, let me ask you something. What the? It's not your son's business, it's this Xiao Gao, Tang Gao's thing. Do you know about his murder? You know, have you found out? Didn't find out, but has already passed the heartstone. Okay, no problem, you're busy. Tang Gao pouted, slightly unhappy. He was obviously a good citizen, but he was suspected. It is true that I can understand the operation of the head teacher, but I feel emotionally uncomfortable. Although I killed 1, 2, 3, 4. Forget it, I can't count how many times I've killed people, but I'm still a good resident of Sha country and a good citizen of Liangcheng. Only then did the head teacher Tian relax and breathe a sigh of relief. You boy, but you really prepared a big drama for me. Quote. Tang Gao is really his good student. Silently, he prepared such a big surprise for himself. Tang Gao shrugged. Teacher, can I go back then? Quote. Chapter 20. The head teacher Tian was speechless for a moment, waved his hand and signaled him to sit next to him. Don't go back first, I'll tell you something. Tang Gao was a little surprised, but still sat on the wooden chair next to the head teacher. Class teacher Tian organized the language and said seriously, in the future, unless there are life and death fights and special circumstances, you better use only half a move. Quote. Half a move is to break the move, which is the perfect limit of martial arts. One move, but the transformation from martial arts to killing, after the fight will kill people. Tang Gao nodded. That's exactly what I mean. Quote. My strength is too strong. Half a move is enough to get a full score. There is no need to be so dazzling that it causes unnecessary trouble. Class teacher Tian patted Tang Gao's shoulder and said with a smile, your kid is still a student, and he is not a criminal cultivator. I don't want you to kill people in one move during the exam. Tang Gao was embarrassed and nodded. Indeed. Teacher. Tian rolled his eyes. The half moves I said here, including your standing posture, don't use the same set of killing techniques next time, change to the posture of martial arts. Otherwise, everyone can see that your kid has killed someone. You are here to take the exam, not to kill. Tang Gao was stunned, but he didn't expect that he would show flaws here. Okay, I learned a new knowledge. The head teacher Tian said seriously, your half move has already outperformed many students, and learning to hide moderately will help you get along with everyone. Everyone likes to get along with an excellent student, but they don't want to get along with a murderer. Quote. Strength. Tang Gao is very strong. To be a piece of people, the little one is still a little tender. Tang Gao was speechless for a while, only then did he understand that as early as invisibly, the teacher had protected his good image, and he was sincerely grateful. Thank you, teacher. Okay, go play. If it's not necessary in the future, it's better not to show your full strength. Class teacher Tian waved his hand and signaled that this little guy could go and play. Tang Gaogong wanted to leave, but suddenly stopped, and said curiously, Teacher, how many people have you seen that I just used the killing technique? Class teacher Tian smiled and said, about 1/3 of the teachers. If you have killed people, you naturally see that you are using murder techniques, and if you have not killed people, I am afraid that you only think that your tricks are sharp and fierce, and will not think that you can kill. Tang Gao was stunned for a while. 1/3 of the teachers have killed people. Quote. To be honest, the ratio is still a bit shocking. Class teacher Tian smiled. Why, do you think that the teachers bragging about having killed people on the battlefield is fake? Little one, you are still a little tender in terms of experience. At that time, the demon clan invaded, and all of us personally went to the battlefield to fight. Killing art, I also practiced. Tang Gao smiled, took 2 steps back, and grimaced, then you just lost too. Bye, teacher. Quote. After pretending to be forced, Tang Gao ran away without giving the teacher a chance to justify. Class teacher Tian's face turned red, his forehead was blue and jumping, and he was stunned. Martial fighting is not called losing. The business of teaching people is not called losing. Looking up, the naughty boy had already run out almost 10 meters, and the head teacher had to give up. Teacher Tian raised his hand and watched the chubby palm unconsciously have rough marks, and couldn't help but sigh that time was fleeting. After all, he is old, and even if he has experience beyond his youth, the speed of his moves is already slow. The slightest hesitation, then the opportunity is lost. Teacher Tian looked at Tang Gao, who was chatting happily with Lu Ren from afar, with a smile on the corner of his mouth. The future of this world must ultimately be handed over to young people. On the martial arts training field, Tang Gao was surrounded by a group of people, curiously asking the head teacher what he said to him, and everyone only saw that the head teacher Tian sighed and regretted, and there was a relieved expression behind him. Tang Gao was stunned, gratified. He turned to look, but only saw the old urchin sitting like an old monk, waved his hand with a smile, and signaled them to continue the little martial arts. Lu Ren swore and said, Yes, so what did Lao Tian tell you? Tang Gao smiled, put his hands behind his back, and said profoundly, Lao Tian told me, your kid is already invincible in the world, and after that, he can only make half a move, but don't take out all his strength to shake this mountain and river. Quote. Ha, shish, brother Tang, just blow it. Everyone booed. They didn't believe Tang Gao's ghost words at all, and they also shook the mountains and seas. Why don't you punch the 19 states? The teachers who pricked up their ears to listen, hearing Tang Gao's words, felt even more speechless, and also felt the perversion of this little guy. With Lao Tian's temperament, I am afraid that I only think that this kid only needs to make half a move in the future to get a full score, so he has this advice. Strong enough to let the child only make half a move. Some people get a full score because their strength is only this score. Some people get a full score because the assessment only has this score. After everyone's excitement, the little martial arts test continued to test, but after the fight, he would still talk excitedly about this strange thing that happened today. Tie up with the class teacher of the elite class. Tang Gao's understanding of tricks is simply amazing. Everyone was happily martial arts, but only one person couldn't laugh at the moment. Lu Ren's face turned pale, his legs were fighting, and he almost wanted to go first. No, brother Tang, we still have to continue to practice. After he was put down by Tang Gao several times in a row, he couldn't laugh at all now. Tang Gao said seriously, your father has given too much, I will be strict with you. Quote. If it weren't for the Xuanjian grade technique given by Uncle Lu, I estimate that it would take several times more effort to complete the task of Blood Fury Servant. To be human, learn to be grateful. Lu Ren wanted to cry without tears. My father only let you improve my literary test scores, this martial test is. No thanks, right. Hey, I couldn't catch your martial arts before, but now there is a way, both hands must be grasped, both hands must be hard, attack, numb. Lu Ren had to bite the bullet and attack, and then was kicked away by Tang Gao. Tang Gao sighed twice. The pace is too scattered, the momentum is insufficient, the empty door is wide open, and when attacking, you must also leave 3 points of spare strength to change your moves, so as not to be killed. And then, you can Lu Ren was dumbfounded. Huh. Quote. Why didn't I know I was such a dish? Tang Gao waved his hand. Go on, practice until you can't move. Quote. No matter what, you must be worthy of Uncle Lu's blood. Lack of momentum, come again. Attack enough, defend insufficiently, change. The pace is too scattered, go back and add an extra hour. Grandma is faster than you, continue. On the side of the martial arts training ground, Lu Ren was like a rag doll that had been played badly, teary-eyed and kept charging, and then was put down by the non-stop breaking moves. Hard, so hard. It's also a mistake that Dad is too rich. Dad, you are not a father. Tang Gao did not use battle chi from beginning to end, and repeatedly put down Lu Ren, who kept activating battle chi. Lu Ren was beaten and wondered if Tang Gao was hating the rich, and actually gave such a ruthless hand. When the bell rang for the end of class, Lu Ren lay directly on the ground, refusing to get up. I don't fight. I'm not fighting. Tang Gao laughed. You boy, you can't stand such a little suffering. That's how many times it has failed. Lu Ren almost cried. I was beaten for a whole lesson, who can stand this? Tang Gao sighed twice. Can't bear this bit of suffering. If you suffer from hardship, you will be a better person. Quote. Brother Tang, count me begging you, after class, let me rest. Tang Gao waved his hand. Okay, take a break. Quote. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.